Okay. Hi.
Hey.
So could you please introduce yourself?
Yep, so my name's James, also known as the Digital Philatelist. I have a website, digitalphilatelist.com, and I'm based in Melbourne, Australia.
Okay. And how'd you start collecting? Like, what introduced you to it? Who or?
It was actually my sister started collecting first when I was young, and then I took it up because she's older than me, so I tended to follow what she did. And then when I was in my teens, and so at that point in time, I was collecting mainly Australian stamps, and I would have been about 10 or something. But in my teens, my dad and uncle gave me their stamp collections from when they were kids, and then that's really when I really got into it because they had worldwide stamp collections, and there was a lot of good and interesting stuff in there.
Yeah. And what do you collect?
So at the moment, I just started collecting stamps from the Bahamas, from say around about 1954 up to the late 70s. That's what I've started. But prior to that, I was collecting stamps from a country called Rhodesia, which is now known as Zimbabwe, in Africa.
Okay, cool. Do you know where the Bahamas are? I mean, I don't really know where the Bahamas are. I've heard of them, and I like some of the stamps from there because they're pretty much like all on Commonwealth stamps. But do you know where the Bahamas are located?
Yeah, it's kind of just down from down from Florida.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I figured. I knew it was somewhere near the U.S.
Yeah, this is the thing. Sometimes there's countries and you just are like, where's that? Even now, I go with, like, when I'm working on the website, I'll get a country and I'm like, I have no idea where that is.
Yeah, I was into collecting North Borneo stamps. Well, I
Oh
actually
yeah.
only have one stamp from there. And I'll say I'm collecting stamps from some place when I don't even have stamps from that place yet because I'm going to start collecting there. But
But that's the goal. Is you start out and you're like, oh, I like that, and then
yeah,
you aim for that.
I found out about North Borneo actually from one of Exploring Stamps, his videos,
Hmm.
the rhino video. He showed a rhino
Yes.
stamp, and then I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I looked up that stamp, and I couldn't like find it right away. And I saw a bunch of other North Borneo stamps, so then I sort of just liked it all of a sudden. And I never even knew where it was until this morning. I just decided to research it, and I found out it
North
was right near Philippines.
North Borneo stamps are actually really popular, and like there's some really early ones that like the ones that Graham collects. They're so nice. They're really nice stamps. So they're
Yeah,
hard to get. Mm.
I saw.
I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say actually.
I was just going to say, I know on Twitter, there's actually like a specific account for North Borneo. The guy that runs that specializes in North Borneo, and he has a lot of nice stuff that comes up there.
Oh, cool. I'll check them out probably soon. I mean, I don't have a Twitter account, but I use my mom's for all stamp stuff.
That's okay.
Yeah. So anyways, do you have any place that you would want to travel to that you've seen on the stamp?
I definitely want to go to the Caribbean. Every time I try to get there, something comes in the way. So, yeah, definitely Caribbean, because there's, especially the stamps from Queen Elizabeth reign in that era. Like they're really, I don't know, they're like travel posters, and you kind of look at them and go, oh, I'd really like to go there just from the stamp. So, Caribbean's on my list. It's high up on my list.
Yeah. Um, I don't actually have a single Caribbean stamp. I might have one, but it just shows a map of the Caribbean, or I think it's from Montserrat or something.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Yeah, do you know any information about where that is? I mean, I knew it's in the Caribbean Sea, but do you know what that country or island is?
You know what? I'm not terribly good in that region. I will get there, but I'm probably not. Once it starts getting into little islands, I tend to get lost.
Yeah.
I kind of know some major ones, like I know Jamaica and like kind of Cuba and Bermuda, but when it starts getting down to other areas, I get a little bit
Yeah.
not too sure.
Um, yeah, I forgot what I mean, I knew I was talking about the Caribbean Sea, but if I were gonna go to someplace, it would
Hmm.
probably be Seychelles.
Okay.
They're really nice. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't think I have a stamp from. I am a Seychelles collector. That was like the thing I collected from like when I started collecting. That was like the first thing I wanted to collect. Although that was not the first thing I got. Well, I got a big order of like, I got like an order of like 20 stamps for my birthday. I just
Yep.
got a bunch of the stamps that I wanted, and some of those were Seychelles. And
Yep.
I used to play this little video game, and there's this thing. I got a little booklet for it. It was sort of like it's like a learning video game, but I don't play any video games anymore. And in the book, it talks about the Seychelles giant tortoise, and this was like years ago. And I love that animal and on the beach it was on, I loved it. And I found out about Seychelles that there's a bunch of rare plants, and there's a lot of rare things there, like living plants, animals, like a giant tree and the Seychelles giant tortoise. And from like then, I stuck with Seychelles and just loved it and everything that had to do with like something that had to do with a country.
Well, I haven't. If I've got this right, if I remember this correctly, one of the French pirates from the Bahamas ended up at Seychelles, and there's supposed to be buried treasure there. Like it's a major thing. I'm pretty sure it's Seychelles where this pirate ended up.
Oh, like where jewelry and stuff you were saying, right?
Yeah. So from memory, he got kicked out of the Bahamas, and the English maybe were after him or something. So he went to Seychelles, and there's supposed to be these rocks with all these symbols on them, and these are supposed to be where his treasure is. And when he was hung there, he kind of said, "Oh, this is places I've buried all my treasure." So for years, there's been this treasure hunt to find this pirate treasure at Seychelles. There you go. See, think you learn.
I never knew that. Thanks for sharing that.
Not a problem.
I never knew any pirate wanted to go to Seychelles. Yeah.
He did. Yeah. So if you find the treasure, let us know.
Okay. And hopefully there's some old stamps.
Yes.
Wait, no, there wasn't stamps because that was not what stamps were.
The early down. Maybe some letters, because even the letters would be pretty valuable if you found some letters stashed somewhere.
There wasn't stamps. Yeah. I don't know what they probably just went to like a post office back in the old days. This is what I'm guessing, when there's no stamps around, and they would give the post office man a coin, and then they would take their letters to wherever.
They probably had like servants or some type of mail courier, but not like the postal services that we would know today.
Yeah. So in your the recent stamps you've had, which ones are your favorite so far? Like, where are they from? Like, what stamps are your favorite? Do you have any favorite stamps?
Favorite ones. Oh, that's a toughie. There's some that I think are just really pretty, like really nice looking. Southern Rhodesia, again Zimbabwe. Queen Elizabeth II, the 1953 issue from memory. That's a really nice series. Very underappreciated, but very nice series of stamps. So I always like collecting them. If I find them, I try and get those. Zambia in the 1960s, which used to be Northern Rhodesia, because they're the copper belt of the southern part of Africa. A lot of their stamps have got like a copper finish to them, so they shine like a metallic copper finish.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're really cool. And the woman who designed those, Gabrielle Ellison, she's quite renowned as a stamp artist. So they're also the big ones. And obviously, I went to Bahamas because I like some of their stamps. So I was just looking at I've just been working on the 1970s ones this morning in my collection before this chat. So I kind of like those as well.
Yeah. So there's this one. Well, I don't collect French stamps, but I did get this. Like, I got a great deal on eBay. No one else wanted to bid on it, so I was the only bidder, and it's $5.99 starting price for. It says 500 plus stamps, so it was more around 1,500.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great deal, and I got mainly French stamps, which one of my favorites. So I usually just like will trade them or sell them. So like
Yeah.
whenever someone says I have these for trade, I'll say I'll do French stamps because I got like a lot of duplicates. But then there's like I don't know, 15 old stockbook pages or 20 or something, and they had a lot of old stamps on them that I really liked. And there's this the second I saw this one stamp from Nyasaland, or how do you?
Yeah, Nyasaland, Malawi. Yep.
Yeah, that's a dead country, right? Or is it not?
Nyasaland is, yeah, correct. So it changed its name to Malawi. So
Oh yeah, okay.
it's kind of sits next to Zambia and on top of, or kind of to top of Zimbabwe. So it's that kind of whole region.
Yeah. So anyways, it was a set from Nyasaland, and there may have been more to this set, but I found two, and then I found a third one in the French section. But what it was a giraffe eating like some palm tree leaf, and it was really pretty.
You might actually be thinking of Nyasa, which is another area again.
Oh, wait a minute.
So there's no.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about that because it says Nyasa. It doesn't say Nyasaland or something.
No, it's Portuguese, so it's a.
Yes, it was Portuguese because on that same page I saw a Portuguese stamp.
Yeah, so, correct. Yeah. So it was a company. It was kind of at the top of Nyasaland from memory. Company of Nyasa, I think it's in the English version. So, yeah, but then they're gorgeous stamps as well. I think Mozambique, which is next to them all on the coast, they all have really pretty stamps.
Yeah. So
they're a good set to collect. That's a good one. They're good ones to get.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And actually, another one of my favorite stamps was actually, I think, from that same grab bag. And it was, I don't collect French stamps, and I don't particularly love them, but there's this one stamp I just loved. And it probably was because I got this book at the library about World War I, and I read about the Battle of Verdun, and that name was really cool to me. And then it showed a picture from a movie, and I was like, hey, I want to watch that movie. We tried finding it, but it took forever to find it. And then when we found it, it was like $20. So we were like, oh, we'll watch that maybe another time. Yeah. And then I was looking, I got that grab bag, and I found a Battle of Verdun stamp, and it commemorated it, and it had like pretty colors, and like illustrated it in the darkness well of like the battle, because the Battle of Verdun, it was one of the most bloodiest battles in World War I or in modern warfare, I think something said. So yeah, it illustrated it really well. It showed like these soldiers in a trench, and then far away it showed like a big blast of like dirt falling coming up from the ground. So yeah, it's pretty cool stamp.
You should. I collect, when I look at one of the things when I was collecting Rhodesia was I was part of a stamp club study circle, and I did a lot of work on their website for their postcard collections, and I kind of got this in for postcards as well. So while I'm doing my Bahamas collection, I'm kind of looking for postcards used in the period that shows the subject on the stamps. And I was thinking, oh, it'd be really cool if you could find some type of postcard that showed something related to that.
Oh, wait a minute. Like, so it's a postcard website, and you're wondering...
No, it's actually it's a stamp website. So Rhodesian Study Circle.
Oh, it's called the Rhodesian Study Circle?
Yeah, and they do stamps, but they kind of look at everything. So they look at, letters, postal history, documents, postcards. They do the whole lot. So a few of their members collect postcards. And so I was putting all that information together and cataloging them and whatnot. And I just thought it was interesting. But it made me then want to collect postcards that showed images of what was on stamps. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there's this postcard from the USA. They made this postal stationery set followed after a stamp set. I think it was commemorating, it was greetings from California, greetings from every single state.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think they made postal stationery postcards with the illustration of the stamp and then the stamp on the back.
And
So
they're like the retro style, like a 1950s, 60 type cards. And I'll say
yeah,
greetings from, yeah.
yeah,
I
and
got some of them when I was in the States. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to
oh
grab
yeah,
that.
yeah, I really like them. I'm probably gonna get a sheet, but they're like $50. So yeah,
Ah, you
but
never know what lands in your lap in a collection. You buy something cheap off eBay and you get something that you don't expect.
yeah,
So always hold out.
they're like $50 on Mystic Stamp Company, but you always find things cheaper on eBay, and yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, so then I really like the set, and I want to get greetings from California postcards because I do post crossing. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I have heard of Post Crossing. It was very big. They were at Virtual Stampex in London. I think two virtual Stampex is the first one, and it was really big.
How long
So
ago was that?
I think it was last year because it was the beginning of the COVID pandemic. So Stampex couldn't go ahead, so they did it virtual. Yeah, I think it was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
I
really
actually
good. Next
probably
time they're on, I'll let you know.
okay. Thanks. Yeah, that I would like that. Um, I don't. I actually wasn't. Sorry, I
Right.
wasn't around there at that moment because I only started stamp collecting like 5 months ago.
Oh, really? Well, so what got you into it?
Oh well, it's sort of a long story, but I'll make it shorter just for sake of simplicity. But we are renovating a 117-year-old Victorian Edwardian
Mm-hmm.
house. I mean, we're gonna paint it like cool colors,
Yeah.
but oh yeah, and this brings a good part of history because Queen Victoria, and her husband Edward, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, their influence led into all corners of the world, including the U.S. So then we started making houses shaped how they had houses, and so yeah, that's sort of like what our houses look like. But anyways, we were driving home from checking the house. We weren't actually. I think we were like in the stage of buying it. I don't think we hadn't started renovating it. But when we started renovating, we found thousands of problems. We were supposed to be moved in like 3 months ago, but now we're probably going to move in at the end of September, probably end of December, because we don't want to keep on paying rent for our apartment because it's pretty expensive here in Culver
Yeah.
City. Anyways, I'm going to try making it shorter.
That's okay.
My dad had to drop off a bass guitar, return it, and we were walking around the mall. We couldn't find any place we wanted to go to, and then finally we found this place called Bargain Books, and I got a little fishing book there. I do collect old books, so that caught my eye because it was an Osborne 50s book. I collect.
I love those books. I saw it on your last video. I was like, I think I had that or I've read that. I love
Oh
those books
yeah,
as a kid.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what got me into stamp collecting. So I got that Osborne book, and then I was like, wow, I love this series. I'm going to start collecting these series. And I got the Tection one, the Know How series of Osborne.
Yeah.
And then I was searching for more Know How books, and I found the stamp collecting book, which wasn't from that series. And I was like, whoa, I always liked stamps when I was putting them on mail. Like, whoa, these are pretty stamps. And I never thought I would start like collecting them. I don't know if I knew that stamp collecting was a thing, but I did know that they're very pretty and they could have been a collectible. So then I was like, whoa, this looks cool. And I bought it. And then that's what sparked my interest in stamps. And yeah.
That got you started.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's how it starts. And it's like, I always say to people, it's a bit like collecting art. Is you kind of go, oh, that's nice, and then you get a little piece, and then suddenly you go, oh, I want another. You start looking and you start appreciating it, and then you're like, oh my god, I'm into it.
Yeah, and then you like start building up your collection huge. Okay, so my mom sort of helped me with this question. She told me that well, I'm going to tell you this. You might not want to answer it, but do you have a monthly budget on stamps?
Monthly budget. No. Yes and no. Like I haven't really collected much in the last year and a bit just because of COVID. At the moment, I can't get any mail from Africa, and that's usually where I used to get a lot of my material. They don't, the like in South Africa, the postal service is literally stopped completely. So I can't get mail from there. And that was part of the reason that I was like, well, what's my backup collection? Bahamas. But I do have a, I don't know if I put a hard budget in place. Like I don't go, I spend this much a month. I tend to look a lot on like eBay or Delcamp or Hitstamp, and I just keep my eyes on that regularly, and I add things to a wish list or to the watching list so that I'll buy something then. And sometimes postage is really expensive as well. Like postage is more expensive than the stamp I want.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I just on Hits today for the first time because some friend introduced me to it.
yep.
And I noticed, whoa, these are super expensive. I mean, I'm like, for USA, you just pop on a forever stamp, 55 cents, and mail it. I'm like, wait, why is, for 3 stamps, why is it $8 shipping?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you could just go the easy way and make it 55 cents. I don't understand it. But
Exactly. So when I buy, I have to kind of work out, if I add the postage to the stamp, do I think the stamp has a value that would be worth that in the long run? And sometimes I'll go, well, what else is the seller selling that I can pick up to make it like a good value buy? So that's also a problem. But I do a lot of watching. Always keep my eyes out. You always see so much stuff, and whether or not you want it, it educates you just on what a good price is to pay. Because as you mentioned, some stamp sites charge like stupid amounts of money for really common material, and the more you see, the more you realize that a lot of the material is common and it's not that expensive. It's available everywhere. So it keeps you, it's like shopping around. You're shopping around.
yeah.
But I don't have any set budget.
Yeah.
If I haven't spent any ridiculous sums of money like Graham Beck has on some stuff every now and then.
Okay. I wanted to also tell you this. So I heard that you collect African stamps. Well, I know it now because we've been talking about that for like since the beginning. I want to tell you that I also collect African stamps because I think they're really pretty.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they're actually really easy. Funnily, most of them some of them can be really easy to get because a lot of the countries, people don't really collect them. So it makes them easy to get. Plus, I really like them on a cover as well. Getting stamped, not so much a first day cover, more like what they would say is a commercially used cover. So that one's it's being used for proper purposes, not for stamp collecting purposes. And you can usually pick those up for like $1, a couple of dollars, and they're actually better value historically than just the stamp itself. So Africa's a fun place. You can really have some fun there.
I'll check out some covers.
Yeah, have a look at covers. Covers are really good, especially from I would say the 50s and the 60s are probably undervalued at the moment. So you can get them cheap, but they actually are really good philatelic wise.
Yeah. I'm not a big cover collector, but that does sound interesting, so I should check them out.
Well, one of the things with covers is I always say, when you get a cover, you do a Google search on who it was sent to, and then do a bit of a Google search on who it was sent from if that information is available, because you can find some really great and interesting historical people that things are being sent to, but no one checks who it's being sent to. But if you do a little bit of Google research or Google Books, it shows up the names. It's it's good.
That sounds interesting.
It's fun.
Yeah. I always like, that would be really fun, like seeing who was it sent by and how did, and one of the things with collecting used stamps is it's been through the mail and someone sent it to someone, which I think is interesting because it's like even more historic. And
exactly.
Cover, you can see who it's been sent from and to.
And even with used stamps, I think used stamps a bit they're not underappreciated in a lot of circles, but I think for the general collector, like people who don't really, or who are starting out or don't really know too much about stamps, they don't realize that some of the postmarks are worth so much money, like so much money. So it's always good, especially on the older stamps, maybe like prior to the 1950s. Some of those are worth quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm
No,
more
thousands.
thousands. You said
Yeah. We
what?
had once we had a stamp where it was on there was a stamp that was on a postcard. Now, if you looked in a catalog, the stamp would have been 10 cents, but it had a special postmark on it from the turn of the century, and it ended up selling this postcard for like 1,400, I think, it was American dollars.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it wasn't the stamp; it was actually the postmark. So it's always good when I get used stamps. I'll always kind of, if it's got a semi-clear or a clear postmark of the town, I kind of put that aside. And if it's just wavy lines like machine cancellations, I can put that into the other, get rid of the pile. But anything with, if you can see the name of the town or anything like that, always hold on to those.
That I also like looking up the name of the town because you can learn, like, if you're looking up what the stamp is commemorating, and then you're like, oh, I want to look up this town on the stamp, and then you learn even more than you were expecting to learn. So that's what's pretty cool about seeing the full postmark. Like, I'm always
Yeah,
happy when I find a full postmark, especially when it's on a piece of my mail, because usually nowadays they just put squiggly lines.
yeah, exactly. And I think with a lot of the modern material and modern covers and that is people tend to cut them off and soak them. And not many people are using stamps. So they're literally cutting off the value because a stamp, just to use stamp, there's billions of them, millions and billions of them in the world. But on modern covers, people aren't using stamps. So first you've got a cover that hasn't been used a lot. And then if it's got a nice clear cancel, it means it hasn't gone through the pen cancel. So, hold on to them on the full cover.
Yeah,
That's what I say.
yeah. I actually hold on to covers too, just because, like, sometimes people like collecting covers, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep this cover because it might be cool to collect later on if I'm ever showing it to like a bunch of children when I'm old. I'll be like,
Yeah.
yeah, this was sent from a friend from Greece or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, something funny. I heard you bring up pen cancels,
Hmm.
and I always thought pen cancels were fun and cool and awesome, and stamp collectors love them. And so then one time, I'm pen pals with a bunch of people, including my cousins, and
Hmm.
I I begged the post office on my letter to pen cancel my stamp. And then just like a week ago, I was watching a video. Well, I figured out like a month ago that people hated pen cancels, and then like a week ago, I saw a video, and I was like, yeah, you're right. They're not the best because they just squiggle it and then they send it on.
But they've still been through the post system. So, I, I guess they're harder. You don't know who's done the squiggle on the stamps,
Yeah,
but they've still been through the post system. They're just not as pretty, that's all.
it's cool when they write their name on there. That's really cool.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of if you've got old stamps that have got like signature pen cancels on them, that usually means that they were used for revenue purposes. So they were put on documents and stuff like that. So early up until probably the 1930s. If it's a stamp with a squiggle or someone's signature or that, it's usually a revenue stamp.
Wait, what are revenue stamps used for again?
They
Well,
kind
I
of,
sort of never really understood them.
I guess the simplest way to say it's like collecting tax to a stamp for something. So they had things like cigarette
Oh
stamps,
yeah, I
or
heard about those before.
yeah, or they might have had to collect a certain fee on behalf of governments. Say it was your electricity bill. The government wanted 10 cents for your electricity bill, so you put the 10 cents on there, and they kind of sign it. Or they might have used the postage stamp to say I have paid it, and the post office would then reimburse the government. So yeah, that's kind of in a basic way.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next question. I'm gonna look at my questions real quick.
Take a drink.
Okay. Okay. I heard from Stampcat Stamps channel that
Hmm.
they're making the Icelandic stamps were now like they stopped making them, which was sort of like sad towards philatelists.
Hmm.
And so what? what I think is that they're gonna keep on, like, as devices and digital things become more and more used throughout the world, they're gonna start. There soon, postage stamps might not be in use.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you think? Do you think that's gonna happen, where postage stamps are not gonna be in use anymore? And if you do, when will you think that'll happen? When the world goes completely on postage stamps, having stamped or whatever?
If I had to say anything, I think most people that would use stamps at the moment are probably an older generation. So for that to completely die out, you'd have to have a completely digital generation of people come through. And I wouldn't probably expect that for 20 years, maybe, or more.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to think people like 60 or 70 now, another 20 years, maybe 90 when they die. Yeah, it would go then. There's a lot of money that the postal services make off stamps, and it's, pretty much free money for a little piece of paper. So they would, I guess, would try to protect that income for them. But you know what? When I was a teenager in the 90s, and the internet was coming in, they were saying the same thing, like, oh, the post will be gone. Well, we're in 2021 now. People are still posting stamps, using stamps, and so still think there's a while. There's a while.
And plus, what I wouldn't like about it. So let's say you ordered like four stamps, digital stamps. And it says, oh, you can have them for only like 14, 20 days. Well, then what if you find out, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to send that today, and then, oh, I have to send it on this day, and then that would also be bad, because people would be like, no, I want postage stamps back. I mean, do you understand that?
Yeah. I think like one of the things I think is funny is, and it's here in Australia and the US as well, is that stamps don't have an end life. So any stamps that they kind of issue, and especially for you guys, you can go back to the 30s. If it's a 3-cent stamp, great, it's still valid for postage today, right? We were from about 1966 when we got decimal currency, and anything from 1966 I can still use as postage today. But in the kind of, a lot of countries in the older days is that they would withdraw the stamps. So they might say, well, this stamp is only valid for 4 months or 2 years. And then if you use that stamp after that period, they charge you like postage due fees.
Wait a minute. Could you repeat it again?
Yeah, sure.
I didn't understand it fully.
Sure. So let's say that they released a set of stamps. They would say that stamp is a valid stamp for maybe 1 year. So let's say they released it in 1924. 1925, they said after that time, it becomes invalid for postal usage. So if you use that stamp after 1925, they would charge you a fee called a postage due, because you had no valid postage on your stamps. So the post offices were continually making money through this process. And you'll find that in a lot of British Commonwealth countries. They don't do that anymore. So they're not really... People now, they use a lot of the stamps from the 1980s, because there was a huge... everyone wanted to collect stamps for money. It was like the next big investment scheme.
Yeah.
And so they've got all these stamps, so they use them for postage now. But, back in the older days, they would have said, well, no, 1980, great, it's past 1982, it's invalid. You got to pay us for new postage stamps. So...
Yeah. I never knew that. That's interesting.
Yeah, you'll find it in when you collect British... I find it the most in British Commonwealth. When you find in British Commonwealth, they'll always say, like, it was posted in use, like period in use or whatever. They talk about the period in which it was used, because that means that it was valid. It was used within a valid period, and if it's outside the valid period, it tends to have less value, both, or really philatelic wise, because it wasn't valid at the time it was used.
Yeah. Um, is there a country you tend to like gravitate towards in stamp collecting?
There's not a specific country. I think it's more what's on a range of like a range of stamps overall. Like Cayman Islands is one of those places that really tempts me. I could really, if I wanted to spend more money, I'd go, well, especially the 1930s. Like they've got some really cool ones with turtles on them and that, and
What are the
seashells,
islands
and
called again?
the Cayman Islands.
Oh, where are they
They're in
located?
they're in the Caribbean as well.
Okay.
Um, some African, like Nigeria in Africa, um, just after their independence, so roughly 1960s. They also had some really nice stamps that I could go towards. Yeah, it
Okay.
depends on the overall. Depends on the, yeah.
Okay. Um, this is like one of the last things I had to ask. So, I was talking about in my recent video that the Mauritius ball cover sold for almost 12 million US dollars.
Yep.
And I found that really surprising because I, this whole time, thought the one cent British, I forget how to say it.
Guyana. I
Guyana.
think you said it right. You said it on another video and you got it right. So
Okay. Yeah, the 1 cent British Guyana, it sold for like 8 million, 7 million, I
yep.
forget now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found that really surprising, and it sold to this man in Germany. What do you think about it? And do you think that stamp on the cover could be considered the rarest stamp?
I don't get into rare stamps that much that go out in that style because I think they're more investments. They're treated as investments. Any stamp can be rare um, if you know why is it rare. So I have a cover from Southern Rhodesia which I picked up for a couple of dollars, and it has a stamp on it which has a very small flaw on it. The flaw is noted with the Rhodesian Study Circle. They
Wait,
know
it's the
about it.
floor you said?
Yeah, FLAW, a flaw, like flaw
Oh,
in the
claw.
stamp.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
It's
And
okay.
it's got like a little. It's just a very little black mark under the on the stamp itself. But I've got one. I bought this cover for $2, and it actually has that on the cover. No other examples have come up on cover.
Oh,
But you know, it's $2, right? So Stanley Gibbons don't list a couple of these flaws from this period. So for me, I have a rare cover. It may not be worth $12 million, but I have a rare cover. So I think, um, like I think I would place that Mauritius ball cover in a higher priority than the 1 cent magenta British Guiana because it's postal history. Like they can link that to someone who's written on the envelope. They know the purpose of why the envelope was sent. It was using the correct rates and all that kind of stuff. I think there's more to that than just it's a stamp.
yeah.
Yeah. I like the history side of things. I like having a whole history and understanding things and researching things. That kind of makes me the happy collector.
Yeah. I think that's cool what you brought up about that cover, your cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's
But
like,
if you don't look at these things, like even when you're searching on eBay and that, if you don't look and go, okay, but who is the cover addressed to, or you know, maybe have a look at the date on the stamp and see, well, why was it sent on that date? If it is someone famous, like what were they doing? Where were they? Um, you miss out on so much of the fun.
yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions you wanted to ask me?
Yeah. Well, covered off on. I think we've covered on it off on most.
Wait, sorry. What did you
So
say?
most, yeah, I think we've covered off on a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So let. I'll ask you. So at the moment, when you get your stamps, how do you store them?
Well, so I actually got in trouble for 2 months. Couldn't buy stamps for 2 months, and in 2 days I can finally buy stamps again.
Yep.
Technically 3 because on Sunday I'll be renovating. So I currently don't store my collection, but soon I'm planning to get a stock book, and I'm gonna sort them by putting like little labels and put them in the stock book, and then like write a little blip about the set or the series and the date and what it's named and what country it's from. And then I'm probably gonna put them there. Right now, I had this little, so like a year ago or something, I started collecting Pokemon cards, but then I didn't really like them anymore, and then I sort of gave up on it.
Yeah.
And then I started collecting Nerf guns, but my dad didn't want me collecting them because he only did like a few. My dad said he doesn't like collecting things. He just says, well, get what you're gonna use and just stay there. But then I talked to him about stamp collecting. Well, I got into it, and then he found out. Well, he already knew, and then he was like, yeah, that's cool, and he likes it, so he didn't do anything.
But he does have a good point that you can bring into stamp collecting. If it's a stamp that you don't want to collect, like it's when you collect, I've learned over the years is you've got to be specific with what you collect, because otherwise you just have everything. But if it doesn't fit in what you've decided to collect, get rid of it. So he's got a point.
Yeah.
Get rid of it if you don't want it.
I'm trying to get rid of my French stamps, like trade them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Never mind. Wait, no, never mind. Sorry. So yeah, currently I just have a bag full of like magazines that I get from Mystic Stamp Company, and then random stamps, and then with the Pokemon binder I was talking about, I had these little like black cards that I was gonna like do something with, and they fit perfectly into the Pokemon binder, and they are blank, just black, and the stamps looked really well behind them. But then I didn't like that way of putting them in because they weren't the easiest to pull in and out. So I sort of just keep some stamps in there, but most of them are in plastic bags, in a big plastic bag, and then I have a plastic bag full of French stamps. And when we were renovating our house, I was trying to like sort of organize my. Sorry if you hear that noise.
That's okay.
Renovating apartment over there. So then I had the French stamps, and I was sorting them by like the sets that I could see. Like I didn't know the sets, but I could tell they're sets because they're like pictures of the same thing in different colors. And I put them into little plastic baggies, and then I'm waiting to get a stock book. But I'm probably not going to get a stock book. I'm just going to get a stock book for the things I collect, not for French stamps, because I don't collect French stamps.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Build up your Seychelles collection. Yeah. That's a good one. Seychelles I like Seychelles. So yeah.
Yeah.
They have
I
some
recently saw on Hip Stamp this beautiful black, red, and white Seychelles stamps for $18. Well, pounds, I think.
Yeah, that's when I would go. I try to keep my buying at the $1, the dollar or $2 mark.
In the US dollar, you said, or the pound dollar?
Either way, because a dollar here would probably be about 75 cents. So our dollar is about 75 US cents roughly, and it's about 66 pence in the UK. So $1 or $2, which is, let's say, maximum 5. That's kind of where I go. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to spend that. It has to be really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really spent like any amount of big money yet on a stamp or stamps. But soon on Monday, I know I'm gonna, because I already made a deal with the guy. I'm gonna get a bunch of African stamps for like $40 with some old Canadian, because I do collect old Canadian. I pretty much collect anything old. That's why modern stamps, like the French stamps I got, weren't my favorite. I got some 1800s French stamps, but I still didn't love those that much, just because I don't collect them.
So did you say before that you mainly collect British Commonwealth? Was that right?
Yes, I was saying I collect British Commonwealth. That was like the big thing I collected. I never really thought I would collect country by country. I thought I'd just collect random.
Yeah.
Now, the minute I got started learning more, I was like, oh, I'm going to collect Seychelles, British Commonwealth, which isn't really a country.
No, but it's a good. There's a lot of nice. I mean, there's a lot of nice stamps overall, but yeah, that's what I did when I was a teen. British Commonwealth.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably going to collect British Commonwealth and some other things like Seychelles, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what was your question? I forgot. Sorry.
Oh, that was my question.
Oh yeah.
British Commonwealth. That's what I was. Yeah. So you collect. So I liked Canada as well. I like Canada, like New Brunswick and Newfoundland, and like those kind of 1800s provinces. Yeah, they were really cool. But they're also very hard. Like they were hard for me to get when I was a teenager.
Canadian stamps are really beautiful, but they can cost a lot of money. And I'm just telling you this. I only like old Canadian stamps, not the modern ones. I don't like them at all, along with British modern stamps. I mean, I haven't really seen any non-modern British stamps yet, but yeah. I mean, I'm gonna.
Yeah. I tend to stick to Africa and the Caribbean. Like if I'm looking at things, I'll always go, "Oh, they're the two nice ones." But Canada would be the exception to that. But I just don't have the money to invest in a really nice Canadian collection of that period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anything else needed? It'll be good when you get a stock book. Stock books are good. I only use stock books. I'll show you because I told you I was working. I don't know if you can see it very well. I'm starting my Bahamas. So, but stock books for me are really easy because I can move things a lot, and I tend to move things a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stock books. And so this will be a question from a different question. So, you've obviously started making some videos.
Some videos. Oh.
On YouTube.
Yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
I just didn't hear you for a minute.
That's okay. So what are your plans? What are your big plans with that? Yeah.
Well, I'm probably gonna sort of do like what Graham does. Like he makes some seasons and then he doesn't make seasons.
Yeah.
The grab bag and this video is obviously not going to be a season, part of the season.
Yeah.
But I actually thought up as seasons even before I saw Graham Beck's seasons, which was funny. And then I saw his seasons and I was like, and I got more of an idea of like, okay, this is what my seasons are going to look like. And they're going to be like, my seasons are probably going to be like about one individual set or one stamp or a topic on a stamp, like military themed or like the Richard Byrd stamp.
Yeah.
Or like the Antarctic Explorer set, which is the Richard Byrd. So yeah, I'm probably gonna I'm gonna stick with the seasons, and then I'm planning on having like more like conversations with philatelists, like you and unboxing grab bags, and then there's one other thing I think. Oh yeah, and then I was gonna maybe make this video like beginner's guide to stamp collecting, because I noticed when I was beginning there wasn't any stamp beginners thingy, like any really good ones. I mean, there's like how to start a stamp collection, but I wanted like basic tips, like what you need to know to start a stamp collection and what stamp collecting basically is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think exploring Stamps Graham's channel and Stamp Cat are probably two of my favorite in terms of how they're structured. So, and we don't have a lot of, well, there are young collectors that do videos, but they're either just music over stamps. Don't do music over stamps.
They do music over stamps?
Yeah, so they'll just have a picture of a stamp and I'll put music over it.
Oh, yeah.
I think the first two videos that you did and kind of got my attention was because you did talk about beyond the stamp, like not only the stamp, but beyond the stamp as well. And I think moving forward, that'd be a good thing to focus on. Do you watch mallard stamps?
Yeah, I enjoy him. That's how I sort of like thought about doing grab bag unboxing
Yeah,
too.
he
And
was.
yeah.
He's been really successful because if I'm not mistaken, he had less than 100 viewers when I started watching him, and he's like now, I think he's getting close to 2.5 now.
Yeah.
But he does grab bags really successfully. Yeah, sending things
Yeah, I like his
around
videos.
there.
He's like clear and fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think it's good that like you know your age that it's that you can represent that type of information because what it like even though I'm older, right, I have this big bugbear with a lot of philatelic organizations that when they talk about youth, it's like little children, like really, give them, like sandpit type children. And I think, because I think you're 12. Am I mistaken? You're
Yeah, I'm
12?
12.
Yeah, 12. When you're 12 up until your teens, I would like that wouldn't interest me at all. So I think it's really good that you at your age that you're coming in doing that to go, you know what, it's not about basic cutting out pictures of stamps and sticking them on a piece of paper with some glue. Like it's not that for you. So I'm very excited for your channel. Put it that way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
And I know I had a chat with Graham and
Wait, what?
yeah, I
Sorry.
had a chat with Graham Beck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had a chat with him and like I let him like he posted it first on his and I was like, oh, this is a really good channel. And then
Yeah, he's sort of like what introduced me to a YouTube channel about stamps.
yeah, he's really good. So and Punk Philatetalist is the other one.
He has a
Um,
YouTube channel.
he doesn't have a YouTube channel. He only has a blog, but he does. Him and I appear with Graham a lot on exploring stamps, or hashtag philately probably these days. So
Oh yeah, I think I saw your chat all together. I didn't watch it, but yeah.
it's a long one. But yeah, no. So Punk Philatetalist is also in Melbourne. So yeah.
What? Oh, has a good blog, you said, or?
He's got a blog.
Yeah.
And he's also based in Melbourne.
Oh, in Australia. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no. I think you're going. I think you'll go good. It would be good to see you get if you keep your videos. So I'm giving you insider tips here. If you keep your videos, I think with the like along the lines of the first two, with a mix of the grab bags as you mentioned, I could see you getting up to around about the 1.5 to 2 by the end of the year, if you are there. Because I promote you on as many social media platforms as I can. So you just need to keep the content up because a lot of people don't. They lose the content. They go wish-washy.
Yeah, I know. I was TED Talk Stamps. I like his channel.
Yeah.
He was recommending on an Ethiopia grab bag mixture thingy. He was recommending some channels, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and watch them. And like half of the channels, when he was talking about the channels, they were still making videos, but then half of them haven't even posted a video for like 6 months.
Yeah, at the start of the pandemic, I think Graham was kind of getting to a peak with his exploring stamps, and then a lot of people were coming on board. The American Philatelic Society was doing a lot of videos at the time, and I think a lot of people got on board and said, "We're going to do videos as well," but then they just stopped making videos. Even the APS doesn't really do any major videos at the moment. So, and so I was very surprised when Exploring Stamps released season 4.
Yeah, I only knew about him for like since I started stamp collecting, and I was looking at his seasons, and I was like, oh wow, he hasn't had a season for a year. I'm thinking he stopped on his seasons, which is a little disappointing. And then surprisingly, he like posted a season 4 out of nowhere, and I was surprised.
Yeah, because after he did season 3, we were all like, okay, so when's season 4 coming? And he goes, oh no, I'm going to do something different now. And he started his hashtag philately. So we just thought that was the end of Exploring Stamps. So it was a nice surprise when it came back. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Keep it up. I think you're in good stead.
Thanks. Anything else you want to say?
I don't know. We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
uh, Not really. Are you are you going to get a website up for yourself?
Well, I websites sort of tend to be a little hard to set up, and you sort of have to pay for some good website layouts. Like, I wouldn't want to get one of the like free ones because they aren't the best. Because you have to they sort of have their name everywhere, and it doesn't have a great layout unless you pay a lot of money. So I don't know. Maybe when I'm like in a couple of years, when I know more about like coding or programming the website or something like that. I mean, do you
Forget all that.
advice?
Forget all that. Get yourself a WordPress account.
Get a what?
Word, WORD, press.
Oh.
That's what I use. You can get a free account. They've got all really schmick templates, so you choose your style and everything, and you just do it. Just do that.
Okay.
Very simple. Very simple. You don't. I don't really code at all either. But everything that I do on my website is like a Word document. So as long as you can use like a Word document.
So that's pretty easy.
It's really simple, yeah. And you just put your headings, add your pictures, upload a picture. So I would definitely recommend, get that for yourself.
Do you have any advice for what I'd do on there? Like what I'd post on there?
I think what you want to do is promote whatever you're doing, whatever your interests are. So I think if you get a new, say you got a new lot of stamps, you might just do a little small article so that when you're doing your YouTube videos, you can go check out my website. So you can always link it back.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
My sister and my mom just came home.
Oh, hi, Mum, hi, sister.
Yeah.
Is she old? Your sister older or younger?
She's younger. She's 8.
Yeah. Mine's older.
Oh.
I'm the baby in my family.
My mom is too.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say get yourself a WordPress account. Just do little posts. You don't need to do major things. Just little posts. Just do them constantly. Just keep them constant.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions or?
No, I covered all my questions.
Cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
So go ahead.
You have any more questions?
I don't. I'm all good.
Okay.
So I guess I should say thank you for having me.
Yeah.
On,
you're welcome.
for asking me. Yeah. I hope you can get some other people on as well. So don't ever be afraid to ask maybe Graham, see if he wants to pop in and say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll check in with him. Yeah, on Discord I can text him.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, yeah. I'm glad you were able to come on here. Thanks for joining.
Not a problem. We'll see you later.
Okay, thanks. Have a good day.
Okay. Bye, mate. Take care.
You too.